In this set of videos, we're going to look at three parts of statistics: the mean, median, and the mode, which hopefully you've come across before, but this should help to revise what you've already done or remind you of things if you've forgotten what's happened. So just going to look at a few examples. The most simple types, this is just on simple values data which just contains values, which we call discrete data. So discrete just means that it takes individual values only. So things like 1 or 7 or 8, it's not continuous where it's between 1 and 3, and it could be lots and lots of values between 1 and 3. This is actual only values themselves. So the first thing we're going to look at is mean, median, and mode. These are the three types. We've got a couple of other things to do after this, but these are the ones that we're going to look at to start with. So let's define what each of them are. So hopefully you know this already, but if you don't, it's no problem. So you want to write these down. So the mean is calculated by adding or summing. So adding all the values together and then dividing by the total number of values. And that's how we work out the mean. So add everything together, divide by the total number of values. The second one is the median. The median is the middle value of the data when the data is arranged in ascending order. Okay, it's really important that we do this in ascending order. We have to get the data in ascending order, so from smallest to biggest, before we start looking for the middle value. That's the median, and the mode is the most frequently occurring value. So the one that appears the most often. Okay, and we'll do some examples of these, so don't worry if you're not sure. These are our three kind of main, what we call measures of average. There's ways of averaging out the data, different ways of thinking about where the middle of the data is. The mean, the median, and the mode. Make sure you've got them written down, and we'll start looking at some examples. So number one, let's have a look at some data. So 1, and we'll just split this into 4 parts. So 1a, so we're going to find, for each of these, we're going to find the mean, the median, and the mode for the data. So the first one should be nice and straightforward. We've got 1, 2, 2, 4, 7, 9, 10. So they're my values. Okay, we can count the number of things up here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we tend to say that n equals 7. This is the number of things. The number of items we've got, or the number of values that we've got, is 7, because there's 7 different numbers there. So to find the mean, we add them all up. And then we divide that by the total number of items, which we know is 7. And if we add these all up, we should get 1 plus 2 is 3, 4, 5, 9, 16, 25, 35. We get 35 divided by 7. So the mean is 5, which sounds about right, because 5 would be roughly in the middle of that. We've got a few numbers smaller than 5 in 1, 2, 2, and 4. And we've got 3 numbers which are a bit bigger, 7, 9, and 10. So 5 kind of makes sense. If I got something like 17 for my mean here, then obviously I've done something wrong, because 17 isn't even in the data. It lies way outside the data. So there's no way that could be right. But 5 is not in the data, but it is somewhere roughly in the middle of all those values. Okay, and notice they were already in ascending order as well. That makes things nice and easy, and that will make things easy when we do the median as well. Okay, but the mean, add them all up, divide by the total number of things. We call the total number of things n, and in this case there's 7 things, so n equals 7. The median is the middle value when they're arranged in ascending order. They're already arranged in ascending order, biggest to smallest, 1, 2, 2, 4, 7, 9, 10. So that makes it nice and easy. We want to pick the middle value. So either we can kind of count in from the sides. So some people like to have the data, maybe get a pencil and take one from each end, one from each end, one from each end, and it leaves them with the middle value. You might just be able to look at this and figure out that that's the middle, there's 3 on each side. Or some people like a more mathematical approach. So here the median is 4 because it's in the middle of the data. Some people like a more mathematical approach. So the median is what we call the half n plus 1th term in our data. Okay, and n is still the number of things. So if we put 7 in there, 7 plus 1 is 8. So we're looking for this. So we're actually looking for the 4th term into the data when it's arranged in ascending order. And when it is arranged in ascending order, if I just write it out again, I'm looking for the 4th thing. There's the 1st, 2, 3. There's the 4th thing. So notice how this is the 4th term, not the number 4. It happens to be both in this case. But when we're dealing with this, this is telling us which term to look at. Okay, so basically we add 1 onto the number of things we've got. That's the n plus 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. We halve that because we want halfway into the data. That's how it works out. So we just add 1 on. 7 plus 1 is 8. Half of that is 4. So the median will be the 4th thing, the 4th term in our set. We'll do more examples and that should become more obvious. But it's the middle term in ascending order. And then the mode is the most frequently occurring value. So I just look back at my data and I pick the one that occurs the most often, and 2 occurs the most often here. There's only one number 1, one number 4, one number 7, one number 9, and one number 10, but there are 2 number 2s, and therefore the mode here is 2. And that's the first question done. Let's move on to the second one. So this time, my values are 3, 4, 1, 11, 11, 12, 8, 11, and 2. So whenever we get asked these questions, in particular the median, first thing we tend to do is to rewrite in ascending order. Because then it's nice and easy, I can see the data more clearly, I get a better idea of what's going on. So just be careful you don't miss any out. So we start with the smallest one, we can cross it off so we make sure we don't include it twice. There's 1, 2 at the end. There's a 3. There's a 4. There's no 5, no 6, no 7. There is an 8. And then we've got 3 11s. And then we've got 1 12. And maybe just a quick check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 9 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 values there. So rewrite in ascending order. Find the mean. Add them all up. Obviously the order doesn't matter for that bit because we add them all up in any order, they'll give us the same. And divide by the total number of things, which is 9. There are 9 things here, so n equals 9 for this question. 9 values in total. I want to get your calculators out to make this a bit quicker. You should get 63 over 9, which is 7. Again, kind of makes sense. 7 would be in here somewhere in the middle, roughly. We expect it to be roughly in the middle because the data's got a few bigger than it and a few smaller than it. The median is halfway, so a few ways of doing this. We might start by crossing off at each end. And then whatever we're left with in the middle, which in this case is 8. Or you might just be able to kind of visualize that. There's 9 things, so it's going to be 4 on each side. Or probably the best way is the half n plus 1th term. So we said, remember, n is 9 here. I think I've just moved out of the way. There you go, n is 9. So we're looking for half. 9 plus 1 is 10, so we're looking for the half of the 10th term, which is the 5th term in ascending order. So we go back to our data and count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth thing is an 8, and so 8 is going to be the median. And then finally, the mode is the most commonly occurring one, the most frequently occurring one, and quite clearly there are 3 number 11s here, so 11 is going to be the mode. It's the number that happens most often. That's part B. Make sure you've got it all down. And a couple more. You might notice the difference with these two. C. Part C again, random order, 3, 7, 3, 5, 6, 7, 2, and 3. So the number of things here, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 things. So this time there are 8 things. Okay, which is actually an even number, which might make things a little bit more awkward, which we'll come on to in a second. So the first thing we probably want to do is write them in ascending order. So we're going to start, there's no number 1, so we'll start with 2. There's 1, 2, 3 3s. There's 5. There's 6. And there's 2 7s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've not missed anything out. The mean, add them all up. And divide by the total number of things, which is 8. Again, calculate if you want to speed things up a little bit maybe. And to avoid errors, just be careful. So 36 over 8, which is 9 over 2. Or in this case, I know I normally prefer fractions, but because the data is all kind of integers, it's whole numbers, 4.5 is probably a better answer because it gives me a better idea of where things are. And again, it's roughly in the middle of the data, so it's quite a nice answer, probably the right answer. The median is a little bit different with this one. Okay, so if I just write them out again, if I start crossing off from the ends to try and find the middle, I actually end up with 2 values in the middle. If I cross both of these off, I won't have a value. So when this happens, and this happens when you've got an even number of items, notice the ones before we had odd, so it was always 1 value before, so here this was an odd number of things. But here it's an even number, so we take the average of these two. So we add them together and divide by 2 because there's 2 of them. So we get 4. So here the median is 4. We average out the middle 2 terms, add them together and divide by 2. So a little bit different, and that happens when there's an even number of things. And the mode is simply the most often occurring one, which in this case, if we look back at the original list, because they're not crossed out, here 3 occurs the most often. So 3 is the mode. And then one more. So D, not as many numbers this time. 1, 4, 4, 3, 1, 2. So ascending order to start with is always a good idea, so you can see what's going on a little bit better. So 1, 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's 2 4s. There are 6 things in this question, so M will be 6. So our mean, we add them all up and divide by the total number, which is 6. So 15 over 6, which is 2.5. The median, we've got them in ascending order. The median is halfway, so again, we can cross off, and there's 2 there and we average them, so 2 plus 3 is 5 over 2, so that's also 2.5. Just on this, if you're doing the half n plus 1th term here for the median, then there's 6 things, so it'll be half of the 7th, which is actually the 3.5th term. Okay, and the 3.5th will be halfway between the 3rd and 4th. Well, there's my 3rd term, there's my 4th term. So it's halfway between those 2 terms. So again, you can average them. 2 plus 3 is 5 and divide by 2. And then the mode is just the most often one. Here there are 2 modes because we have 2 1s and 2 4s. So the mode is 1 and 4. We include both if there's 2.